Well, I'm afraid to say it, but it is that time of year again when the nights start drawing in and we all start scrambling around for our head torch and our high-vis running accessories. So I thought it was perfect timing to kind of bring you a video featuring my winter running essentials. And these are things that I always dig out this time of the year as I sort of prepare myself for the darker, wetter, windier, colder nights. God, I miss summer. Welcome back, folks. I'm Lloyd Purvis and this is Run4Adventure. Now, if I'm honest, I'm not a massive fan of winter running here in the UK, and I'm definitely a warm weather type of runner, and I think the sun just seems to give me lots of energy. I'm kind of like a human rechargeable battery, so it is super important for me that I've got some good solid winter kit options, because that's going to help get me out there, keep my training consistent through the winter no matter how bad the weather gets. With a lot of my winter training being done under the cover of darkness, obviously a top quality running head torch is kind of top of my list. Over the years of running, I've run with lots of different manufacturers and we've tested and reviewed a lot of head torches on the channel, so I've got quite a lot to choose from. If you've followed the channel for any time, you'll know that I am a massive fan of Fenix's brilliant HM65R-T, a super bright, powerful head torch on full max mode, very comfortable to run with. You've got a spot and a floodlight, and it comes with a really good waterproof rating, so it's going to hold up to those sort of wet UK conditions in winter really well, and it's pretty much bomb-proof. I tend to run it on the sort of mid-setting of 400 lumens, still plenty bright enough for any situation no matter how fast you're moving, but it gives you a really long burn time on that mode, so I don't have to keep sort of recharging my head torch after every run. It comes with this nice, wide, breathable, stretchy headband, which actually has a type of sort of boa adjustment system on it, so really easy. Just turn that ratchet wheel down if you want to tighten it, pull it out if you want to loosen it. Really good system to adjust that fit on the move. And I just like how simple the torch is in general. Very easy to pick or change your setting while you're out there running. And it all comes for under £100 here in the UK, which I actually think is pretty good value when you compare it to similar head torches with similar performances from, you know, sort of Petzl, LED Lenser, silver and black diamond. So a really well engineered, functional, bright running head torch. I tend to alternate between the Fenix and the brilliant Nitecore UT27 running head torch. I haven't actually got it here at the moment because I lent it to a friend to use in a race, but it must be one of the best value running head torches on the market, coming in at under £50. It is super lightweight, 74 grams, you can hardly feel you're wearing it, but it also packs a punch with a 520 lumen max output. Fully rechargeable like the Fenix torch, but it will also run off 3 standard AAA batteries, which is a great feature to have, so you can carry some spare standard batteries if you need them. Some other great features worked into the torch. It's got Nitecore's dual beam technology, so it comes with a warm spotlight but also a cool floodlight, which is slightly amber in tone, so very good for eye fatigue but also great at picking up those undulations in the ground. We can't talk about the UT27 without mentioning that glow-in-the-dark battery case. So if you're in the middle of nowhere, your head torch runs out of power, it's super dark, open up that tray and it glows in the dark. So you can see where to put your replacement batteries, which I personally think is a brilliant idea, and maybe some of the other brands should take note and start working that technology into their products. Next up has to be a solid performing waterproof jacket, especially if you live here in the UK. It's an item of winter running kit that you definitely need. Same story again, over the years I've run in, tested and reviewed lots of different waterproof running jackets from lots of different brands, but my go-to, the one I always grab, tends to be the brilliant Ron Hill Shake Dry Gore-Tex jacket. Now, it's not the cheapest running waterproof out there on the market, but I think you can pick them up for around about £170 nowadays. But the reason it's my go-to is because it is the most breathable running waterproof jacket I've ever used. If you've run in a waterproof jacket before, then you know that breathability is the hardest thing to achieve, and some of them really struggle with this because we've got tape seams and it is a waterproof fabric, but the Ron Hill jacket just does it so well, but it's also super lightweight, really packable, and it gives you great protection from the elements. I've had quite a few comments about the jacket over the years when it comes to durability, because I think in the early days of Gore-Tex Shake Dry, there was some issues when it came to running with a pack or a vest. I can happily say I've had the jacket for 3 years now. It is still going strong and I've had no durability issues whatsoever. Now, talking about breathability, this leads on nicely to wearing a good quality base layer under your jacket. This is so important when it comes to the performance of your waterproof. The first thing is you definitely want to have long sleeves on your base layer, because there's nothing worse than running a short sleeve top under a waterproof jacket with tape seams, because all that's going to happen, having that bare skin against the internal fabric, you're going to get hot, clammy and sweaty, and you're going to be just as wet at the end of your run as if you didn't have the jacket on. Now, it's a well-known fact that merino wool is a great performance fabric when it comes to regulating body temperature or wicking moisture away from the skin. The only issue I've had with it in the past is sometimes it can sort of irritate my delicate baby skin and leave me all itchy and be super uncomfortable to wear, and I've really struggled with it. Luckily, recently I've discovered 2 great performing merino base layers. One is from one of my favorite brands, Say Sky, super comfortable to wear. I've done lots of miles in this top. And the other one comes from an American company called Artilect that I hadn't actually heard of until I reviewed this long sleeve base layer. Both use the highest quality merino wool that is super soft to touch, feels great against the skin and performs really well. But when the weather gets really bad and the temperatures drop, I personally think this Artilect flat iron long sleeve base layer is the best top I've ever worn under a running waterproof jacket. Now, I have to mention something that I've talked quite a lot about on the channel, and that is how a good running gilet and a super practical pair of arm warmers is a great winter running system. It's so functional, and I think it works really well when it comes to regulating body temperature. And I spend most of the winter in one of Say Sky's clean paste vests and a pair of their very comfortable arm sleeves. So offers a really good level of sort of core protection on those shorter training runs, protecting you from the wind and elements. And then if you do get too hot, it's super easy to roll those arm sleeves down, open up the gilet a bit to let in a bit more air. And I just think on those shorter training runs, it's a bit more of a practical system compared to putting on a taped seam waterproof jacket. But recently I tested and reviewed Uglow's new waterproof running gilet, and this is an item of kit that I've been looking for a long time. Now, I know it seems strange having a waterproof piece of kit that obviously has no sleeves and a mesh panel on the back for breathability. So it's only really that front panel that's going to offer you any sort of waterproof protection. But I personally think that's all you need on shorter training runs in the winter. I actually wore it last night and it performed really well. It was 30-mile-an-hour winds, driving rain, and I could see the rain bouncing off the front of this gilet. And what that actually does is it then remains as a wind layer, because the fabric doesn't get soaked through like it does on all my other gilets. It really does offer the core a great level of protection from the wind and from the rain. And in this tricky time of year when we're crossing over through seasons, if I'd have been in a running waterproof jacket last night, I would have been way too hot, too warm, and I'd have just ended up taking off, and then that kind of defeats the object. So I actually think a waterproof running gilet is a great piece of running winter kit here in the UK. Obviously, another winter essential, especially if you're a trail runner, is a good quality buff or multi-wrap. These are super functional, so you can wear them around your wrists as a sweatband, you can put them around your neck as an added layer of warmth, or wear them as a beanie hat to give you an extra layer of comfort if you're running with a head torch. Obviously, the best multi-wraps available are at Run4Adventure.uk. Obviously, I might be a little bit biased there, but we got some really cool designs available, and it is a great way to support the channel. So what I'll do, guys, is I'll leave a link in the description below so you can check them out. Now we're going back to an item of merino kit, and I think it's really important to have a good quality pair of top performing winter running socks. And the brand I'm actually going to highlight is quite a small brand that maybe a lot of you haven't come across before, and it is Moggans. I have been so impressed with how these socks have performed. Now, I've had these about 2.5 years. I've done hundreds of winter miles in them. They're still lovely and soft to touch, even though they've been washed hundreds of times. There's no sign of them going through the toe, so they've been super durable. But they handle when you're running, you know, with wet feet for a long period of time really well, and they give you that nice extra layer of warmth. I really couldn't recommend them enough. If you are running here in the winter in the UK or wherever you live and you've got wet, muddy conditions, you really need to check out Moggans socks. I've been so impressed with how they've performed. And finishing up, I think it's super important that we make ourselves very visible this time of year, especially if we're heading out onto the roads for a run. I think we should put safety right at the top of our list, and you know, you don't have to spend a fortune to do this. It could be a nice, affordable, very bright running gilet, or a pair of Sky's brilliant reflective running socks. These really do light you up like a Christmas tree when you're hit by the car headlights, and I've actually heard you can be seen from the moon when you're running in these. Another affordable option, a pair of reflective running shoe laces. Super simple, costs about £3 or £4. Pop them in the shoes and they really stand out nice and bright. The other day I actually got hold of this little sort of clip-on e-light from Fenix. So we've got this nice clip, put it on your head strap of your head torch, or clip it on your race vest, running belt, or on the waist of your shorts. It gives you a nice red light feature, but it also gives you a flashing red light. You've got a blue light and a flashing blue light feature, but what I love about it is it's also a small hand torch. So this actually gives out a light of 150 lumens with a 1.5 hour burn time, which I think is pretty incredible in such a small unit. Brilliant as a secondary light source. So if I'm out there running, for some reason my head torch fails on me, I can grab this out and it's going to give me enough light and time that I can get home safely. So I think it makes it a very practical and versatile piece of winter running kit. So there you have it, guys, my winter essentials that I'm going to be rocking this year, and hopefully these items will help me keep my mileage up through the wetter, colder, darker months. I can't believe I'm wanting winter over already when we're still in autumn and winter hasn't even started. I think it's going to be a long winter this year for sure. But what I've done is I've linked everything that's featured in today's video in the description below if you want to check it out in a bit more detail. Hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Really hope you found it helpful. And if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Super simple to do. Just click on that little red subscribe box down there in the corner. Only takes a second to do and it is completely free, but it really does help the channel out. Don't forget to hit that bell icon though, so you'll be notified when we upload any new exciting running content. We got some great videos planned over the coming weeks, so keep those eyes peeled. But for now, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. It is always appreciated. And as always, stay safe and keep on running. That max power mode, but very comfortable to run with. I've completely forgotten what I was going to. A really handy thing to have with you and running. But my go-to, the one I always grab, tends to be the brilliant Ron Hill Gore-Tex Shake Dry jacket. And the jacket that I tend to go for is the brilliant Ron Hill Shake Dry Gore-Tex jacket.